President Buhari condemns killing of former Obalande Rahim, assures family of justice.
The Nigeria Police Force National Cybercrime Center successfully apprehends 2 suspects for fraud.
We do not actually pay attention to which state is APC or which state is PDP. So it brings us together as a matter of fact.
Carnival Calabar, a display of Nigeria's rich cultural heritage, a tool for national development.
On Good Morning Nigeria today, we shall discuss promoting effective use of firearms by uniformed personnel.
And it was indeed a very black Christmas day for the family of Obalande Rahim, who was said to have been shot dead by a police officer attached to the division Lagos.
Now, the incident has generated reactions from different segments of the society, being the second or even third incident in the area within 3 weeks.
And from President Muhammadu Buhari to Inspector General of Police, the Nigerian Bar Association to the Police Service Commission, and also the Lagos State government, it was all condemnation calls for thorough investigation and, above all, the need for justice to take its course.
Now, this latest incident has become one too many, considering the number of extrajudicial killings by uniformed personnel in the country.
And if you may also recall, the Post 6 incident over a decade ago, and a couple of others in which some security agents cut short the lives of innocent Nigerians based perhaps on suspicion or under certain unwholesome conditions.
And despite the NSAS protest and the subsequent commissions constituted thereafter, the extrajudicial killings by uniformed personnel seem to be unabated.
And there are numbers beginning from 2020 when COVID-19 locked down to the NSAS period to even 2021 when about 122 cases of extrajudicial killings was said to have been recorded in just 9 months.
Just 9 months. I mean, that's shocking. Now, the development raised the issue of the degree of training being instilled in the uniformed personnel at various training institutes across Nigeria, and some of them even go abroad for such trainings.
Kieran, very sad story, honestly, and to say that incident happened very close to that division in Abuja. Abuja is in Lagos, I think it's in Itios local government area, so in Lagos, twice within 3 weeks is very sad, and so prompting many questions. For instance, how adequate and professional is the training being conducted for the uniform personnel, for those in uniform, the police especially? What kind of professional ethics and weapon handling are they need to undergo? What kind of behavior and again professional conducts are impacted on them? But most importantly, what sanctions or disciplinary measures are in place to address such inappropriate management of firearms and behaviors and becoming of an officer?
Yes, and what about doing checks on personnel in the police force? Should firearms be taken away from officers when dealing with civil issues? What should the relevant authorities do to avoid or forestall incidents of trigger-happy policemen across the country? With the popular phrase, "the police is your friend," what can be done for the police to regain trust in these times? These are some of the issues we intend to dissect with our guests as we discuss promoting effective use of firearms by uniformed personnel in Nigeria. My name is Kirian Umayo. Of course, today is a working day, and well, compliments of the season, but also remember today is another work day.
Yes, indeed, and I'm Claire Adilabu Abdulrazak. Always a pleasure to have you join us wherever you're watching us from, and it's good to know that you give us your mornings every weekday. Thank you once again, and of course we will have, as usual, complimentary segments that will come in the course of the program. We will begin with the news highlights coming up very shortly. That will be followed by business news. Chukwudi Kulubaja will be here much later to take the newspaper review, and Jibino is in our newsroom to bring us highlights of the morning news. Compliment of the season to you, Anne.
Compliments, Kieran and Claire. Good morning, Nigeria. Here is the news. President Muhammadu Buhari Monday night condemned the heinous and senseless killing of Omobolanle Rahim, a member of the Nigerian Bar Association, shot by a DT policeman on Christmas Day. The president said he was deeply shocked and saddened to learn of the brutal killing and directed the police authorities to take the strongest possible action against the culprits already held in detention. President Buhari said this incident is a stark reminder of the recurring menace of the mishandling of weapons and a wake-up call to law enforcement agencies, including the police, to ensure the full implementation of reforms instituted by the administration on the subject of weapons handling, as well as the protection of rights of citizens. And the Nigeria Police Force National Cybercrime Center has arrested 2 suspects responsible for computer-related fraud, identity theft, cryptocurrency fraud, and obtaining money by false pretense. In a statement by the force, the suspects run a syndicate specializing in defrauding unsuspected victims from foreign countries by assuming appealing identities of other persons and promising them romantic relationships under the pretext of which they defraud their victims. Meanwhile, the Inspector General of Police, Usman Al-Kalibaba, has lauded the efforts of the head MPF NCC DCP Uche Fanyi Henry in ensuring a clampdown on cybercrime-related offences, and assures that the suspects will be charged to court upon conclusion of investigations. Nigeria, alongside other African countries, are getting ready to adopt the genome editing technology as a breeding tool in biotechnology in efforts to address the challenges of low agricultural productivity and poverty. This has become evident following a meeting of Conference of Parties and Policy Dialogue in this emerging technology from 6 AU member states at the instance of the National Biotechnology Agency, NABDA, and the African Union Development Agency, NEPAD, in Nigeria.
Safety guidelines are robust, explicit on genome edited products, providing the necessary regulatory environment for the introduction and adoption of the genome editing tools for the innovation of products.
The Obi Baba Ahmed Campaign Organization has appointed Balogun Akim Oshuntogun as the new Director General of the campaign organization. He succeeds Dr. Doyin Okupe, who until recently Oshuntogun was the zonal coordinator, and he is a Nigerian political scientist, strategist, researcher, administrator, journalist and writer with experience in media advocacy, policy research and implementation, and political analysis. A former managing director of the News Agency of Nigeria, Oshuntogun served as political advisor to former President Olusegun Obasanjo and as director of the presidential campaign of the People's Democratic Party in 2011. He brings to his new position vast political and media experience. Meanwhile, the APC vice presidential candidate Kashim Shettima says the next administration under Bola Ahmed Tinubu will find a permanent solution to the perennial flooding in Jigawa State if elected in the 2023 general elections. The vice presidential candidate stated this while rounding off a visit to the state at the palace of the Emir of Dutse, Dr. Nuhu Mohammed Sunusi.
Your Royal Highness, you have led the advocacy on desertification and entrenched the culture of afforestation among people in northern Nigeria. We are proud of you and we are calling on the other areas to emulate you.
You and your principals, the APC presidential candidate Aswaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, are leaders this country needs at this time.
The rich, diverse cultural heritage of Nigeria across the 36 states of the Federation, if properly harnessed, can be used as a tool to foster love, peace, unity, and national development. These are the views of a cross-section of Nigerians at the 2022 Cultural Festival, one major activity of the Carnival Calabar.
We cross river get to know the various cultures of persons inhabiting other states, so and thereby creating and enhancing state and national unity.
A batch of Christian pilgrims has been airlifted from Yola International Airport, Adamawa State. Out of the 193 Christian pilgrims, 164 are from Taraba State, while 29 are from Gombe State, joining other pilgrims from Enugu and Anambra State. The pilgrims were seen in high spirit, ready for the spiritual journey, and promised to be of good conduct while at the Holy Land.
Bible. By the grace of God, I should be able to see it physically.
We are to go there to pray and ask for peace and for free and fair election in Nigeria.
But that's the news for now. Good morning, Nigeria. Continues with Claire and Kieran after this break. Stay with us.
Nigeria, African beauty on the Gulf of Guinea, blessed with natural landmarks and wildlife reserves. Nigeria, largest economy in Africa. Nigeria, famous accomplishment in entertainment and sports. Nigeria, resourced with globally respected human capital. Our uniqueness lies in our tenacity, our acumen, a testament of success. At NTA, we are forever proud to be the showcase channel of this positive energy and the reflection of the good in our nation. The capacity to tell our nation's story would not have been possible without the support and patronage of the three arms of government: ministries, departments, agencies, corporate bodies, advertisers, religious bodies, civil society groups, political parties, and of course you, our esteemed viewers. As we wish you Merry Christmas and a prosperous New Year, let's get set to make 2023 even greater together.
It's a little for Nigeria. Oh, better days are coming. Better days that gives us hope and strength. To give you hope and life. Bring the smiles back to all Nigerians.
It's a new dawn in Nigeria. Renewed hope beckons on our people. The silver lining dots the skies. The firmament portents a bright future as the people of Nigeria move to vote a man whom they have come to trust for the realization of their aspirations for a better Nigeria. That man is Asiwaju Bola Tinubu. He has been tested. He can be trusted. Vote Asiwaju Bola Tinubu as President of Nigeria 2023. Vote Kashim Shettima as Vice President. Vote APC. Surely with Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the smiles are returning. We are close to home.
Bring the smiles back to all Nigerians.
Government of Tinubu, we are quite delighted to thank the following people and institutions for their consistent goodwill and patronage and for supporting the Quadri Nigerian brain. His Excellency President Muhammad Buhari, First Lady Dr. Mrs. Aisha Muhammad Buhari, Shoprite, the Redeemed Christian Church of God, Covenant University, Next Cash and Carry, Market Square, Prince Ebano, Duka Hospitality, Sahat Stores, Anglican Diocese of Amish and Nnewi, Catholic Diocese of Onitsha, Just Right Stores, and Aspire Nigeria. What about you? Are you not aware that when you buy made in Nigerian brands like Erisco, you are supporting the creation of more jobs in Nigeria? We therefore enjoin you to patronize made in Nigerian brands like Erisco Foods and join our numerous partners, distributors and customers who have built a good relationship with us because they believe in eating healthy food and in economic progress of our country. Thank you and God bless you all.
Our pastors, our imams, in every church, in every mosque, please realize that in the course of praying for peaceful and transparent elections, we all have duties beyond prayers. If we want a stable society before, during and after the elections, what should you be saying to those that worship with you? All Sundays and all Fridays, you are saddled with the responsibility of bringing up good generations. It is therefore your duty to both man and God to ensure peace all the time, no matter about elections alone. People talk to people and people listen. Talk to your followers. Make them listen to ensure peaceful 2023 elections. This message from the National Orientation Agency.
As we close a successful year 2022 and prepare for the start of a better year 2023, the Nigeria Television Authority, NTA, wishes to appreciate and share the love with all who gave us a year to remember for good. The three arms of government, ministries, departments and agencies, corporate bodies and advertisers, religious bodies, civil society groups and political parties. Most importantly, you, our esteemed viewer. We say thank you. Together, we made 2022 great. Let's make 2023 greater. Once again, we say thank you, wishing you a Merry Christmas and a prosperous New Year from all of us at the NTA. NTA, you can't beat the rich.
All right, welcome back. You're watching Good Morning Nigeria live on the network service, and it's time for business news. For details, let's join Comfort Amodu.
The factory or from the farm to the port, and the process in the port is easy. A lot of people don't do. I mean, if I have only say 5 cubic meters of food to send down here by sea, I can't do that from Nigeria because I can't do it on the sea. So I have to either wait for somebody that we can combine together and do a container. But in other countries, you can just put it on. I have only 1 cubic meter, do LC or do on your own. You don't need to wait for a container, and it goes. And those are the things that we need to look at.
With the African Continental Free Trade Area in sight, governments of African countries are looking to increase productivity growth to broaden supply chains. Experts said fishery intelligence is key to this drive, considering that it already has a transformative impact on international trade and can also reduce trade barriers.
Because of the electioneering that is coming, so a lot of investors want to know the direction that the country is going towards. Whether are we going to be, going towards the conservatives, or are we going towards, the social kind of government? Or they need to know that there has to be a direction. So I mean, there'll be some quick wins, just before the electionary time comes. But huge investment, I will tell you that it will not, it won't come immediately, but the talks around it, developing the transactions, the feasibility, those things can start working now, because I mean, it's not a day affair. It's not like walking into a shop and picking up something from the shelf.
Most of this could happen with public and private partnerships. I think there's a lot of international organizations and there's a lot of private investors, and all those private investors are looking for new sources of revenue. They're looking for new sources of capital, and I think right now it's a perfect opportunity to connect public and private sector together to make it work.
From building the capacity of entrepreneurs to positioning key players in the right market and linkages with big businesses, the government is renewing its market export strategy to strengthen the non-oil sector.
Thank you, Comfort, for that package. We appreciate that. And up ahead is newspaper review.
And time to welcome Chukwudi Okuli Ugwaja for newspaper review. Chooks the boy.
How are you, Claire? Glad to be here.
I don't know how you're feeling this morning, brilliant.
Claire?
Yeah, Chief, so it's good to see you again.
You don't look too happy.
Why? Why not? I mean, you have my time. You're very friendly.
You're interested in scaring me. You forget I didn't get scared easily. Good to be here, guys.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right, we have 3 papers to review this morning, and let's begin with the Sun newspaper, Daily Sun newspaper. Article: Tinubu's camps boast of victory at first ballot, dismiss survey. That's on page 26. Now, the lead story on the Punch newspaper, the Sun newspaper this morning, is Buhari furious over killing of Lagos lawyer by policeman. Now, there are 3 riders to that. I hope you can see the Sun newspaper on the screen so that viewers will also engage. Now, the 3 riders as follows: directs police authorities to take strongest possible action. Within page 6. Sanwo-Olu promises justice, sends delegation to family. How 2 hospitals rejected my wife before death. That's the widower, the husband of the said lady. And now, of course, the photo story there is that of visitations by Lagos State Commissioner of Police Abuja Alabi, and mother of Omobalale Rahim, unfortunately, their family house. Now, besides that, we have other items. Islamic cleric tasks Tinubu on government of national unity is on page 28. We have no hand in attacks on INEC facilities or other crimes. That's according to IPOB. It's on page 27. Oshin Toku replaces Okube as Ubi's campaign DG. Nigeria on IDP's camp says LP presidential candidate. That's on page 6. Now, Calabar Carnival turns bloody as 15 feared dead, scores injured. Ayade expresses sadness, cancels fiesta. That's on page 4. Now, 10 died, 6 injured in Lagos Ibadan expressway accident. The story is on page 4. Federal government to make pronouncement on salary rise soon, as according to Ngige, the Minister of Labour. He describes 2022 as year of industrial dispute. It's on page 26. Imo indigenous, that's at the foot of the Daily Sun. Imo indigenous in diaspora youths loud Uzodima over security and the infrastructural development. All that on page 28 of the Sun newspaper. Claire.
Okay, so let's take a look at the leadership newspaper's front page, and of course the story, one of the lead stories there, Lagos lawyer, justice must be done, says PMB, that's President Muhammadu Buhari. The details of that story is on page 7. And the other sad story coming out of the Calabar Carnival, many feared dead as car crashes into crowd we hear actually that someone, a student, Kieran, and Chukwudi, probably we don't know the identity of who, was trying to make business and then drove his car in a commercial vehicle into the crowd where the bikers were about, and of course, so far we heard that 7 people have died, and so that's just what is coming out from that. So Naira redesign, ATMs still dispensing old notes 13 days after rollout, and 16 abducted in French Kaduna attack. That's details of that on page 6. But that inflation, FG will increase worker salaries, and this story has been attributed to the Labor Minister Ngike. Details of that on page 9. Again, inflation, FG will increase workers' salaries. FG will increase workers' salaries, and other trending story are also on the front page. And then we see the picture story, Minister of Science, Technology and Innovation, Olonimbe Mamura, Minister of State Budget and National Planning, that's Clement Agba, Minister of State Power, Godijedi Agba, and of course Minister of Information and Culture, Olajilai Mohammed, during the Federal Executive Council meeting at the Presidential Villa recently. All right, so
but let me quickly just run through this, so that Chukwudi can come in. New Telegraph newspaper, New Telegraph, Ebony Mayhem, police confirms 3 deaths. Omahi orders APC chair reps candidate arrest. Muslim leaders direct female students to wear hijab in Ogun schools, on page 6. 2023, ex-SGF Babacho speaking for us on presidential endorsement. Made a bet forum there. It's on page 2. Oshintoku, of course, replaces Okube, as we read in other papers. On New Telegraph is on page 2 and 6. New Year, federal government raises hope of salary increase for workers. May invoke clause for removal of strike days from pensionable period. That's on page 2. Now, tragedy as truck crushes 7 to death, injures over 21 at Calabar Carnival. We are yet to get the full details of what actually happened there. Ignore rumors of Obiozo's death, as according to Hanese, on pages 4 and 7. Kaduna gunmen live with 16 out of 53 victims in fresh attack, on page 4. No end in sight to PDP crisis as Wike intensifies attack on Atiku ahead of presidential poll. Fire share Ibazu absent as the Ekiti Abia PDP inaugurate presidential campaign councils committees. Atiku will win at first ballot campaign council. I will create jobs, enhance MSMEs with $10 billion by 2023, says the ex-VP. Chukwudi.
Because we are involved, I am touched by the number of deaths you read out this morning. It's as if the devil is conducting a morbid census and people are rushing to be counted. That's not proper. But breakfast television, we try not to make too many people sad. So let's quickly go to President Muhammadu Buhari's response to the killing of Omobolanle Rahim. I think this elevates the weight of loss, which we all feel. The president, speaking through his aide, Shehu Gaba, actually said it's a sad reminder to the menace of mishandling of weapons. In fact, as somebody who has been in the forces, the president is giving it a practical explanation. It is mishandling of weapons, which we didn't mention yesterday. Policemen, soldiers, whoever is engaged in anything that brings them to the public should be reminded that what they are carrying there is lethal, and that not handling it well could spell doom for whoever is in the environment.
Yes, and
where they operate.
And that's our topic for conversation this morning.
Oh yes,
majorly. So let's take other.
Okay. So we're going to talk about that in the main talk today.
Yeah.
The one that should make us smile a bit. Well, some of us are not into regular pay now. I mean, regular employ. But the one that should make people a bit happy is the prospect of a raise in the salaries of workers in the country. What inflation is doing to people at the moment is simply indescribable. So it is not surprising that this is being mooted. But we must remember that part of what caused the price hike we see these days is the pandemic, the coronavirus pandemic, which forced governments across the world to introduce stimulus packages, which in turn introduced a lot of cash in their economies across the world. Mopping up became a problem. Fine, you could tell me that, didn't they say in economics, mine is not too good, that price is the meeting point of demand and supply.
Exactly.
Yes, I agree. That still happens. But I want to assert, even with the residual knowledge of economics I have, that pushing of a lot of money to reflate many economies is also partly responsible for what's happening. And workers no longer can buy things that they can even eat, let alone service other needs. So I think it is very important.
Yeah, I actually like the scenario you painted.
Yes.
Globally, global people.
Oh yeah, you must give it a global perspective
of what COVID-19 pandemic did.
Yes.
But again, some nations that are into manufacturing, producing nations, may not feel it the way some developing nations will, because most of the developing nations across the globe are consuming nations who depend largely on importation. And so that will also play a role in terms of the economic mix of that nation with respect to inflation.
You have a very good point. Those manufacturing nations, again because of the pandemic, find themselves in a position to up the prices of what they sell to us. And if we are a consumer nation, definitely we're going to bear the brunt of whatever comes from over there. But in terms of international effects, it affects more the foreign exchange rate in your country, The prices are within the territory of the country. They will be affected, as you said, but more often than not, it is usually the rate of foreign exchange that this one has direct impact, import and impact on. Yes.
Well, on the issue of salary increase, according to the leadership newspaper, the Minister of Labour, Senator Chris Ngige, says that the Presidential Committee on Salaries is working hand in hand with the National Salaries, Incomes and Wages Commission. And of course, these are two bodies that have mandates to do that. And of course, they are working on it. Working on it is what I don't understand, because
they should be have been working on it. They have been working on it for a long time. Here once that instant raise. Even in the studio here. Thank God you are not the Minister of Labour and Employment. Neither am I. It's okay. You're not going to get your wish.
There should be parameters for everything. My own concern really is this salary increase. My direct concern. Sorry, my direct concern is this. If you are working out modalities for increase in salary for Nigerian workers, let us not forget that there are Nigerian workers who are already earning jumbo salaries before now. And these are some agencies under the federal government. And there are also some establishments that are also enjoying what we call jumbo salaries. What about the politicians? Now, if you're going to do balancing in terms of salary increase, you have to touch all sectors of Nigerian workers, including politicians, National Assembly members. You have to do some adjustments. Because if you want to increase and eventually increase the salaries of those who are already receiving jumbo salaries, for me, nothing.
When was the last increase effected? How many states are paying the last increase?
Here is introducing another angle for it. Because affordability and by matters. Some people are actually saying that government has no business introducing salary increase that affects every segment of the country. You pay what you can pay. What is the point of announcing jumbo salaries you cannot pay 1/3 of? That is nonsensical.
Exactly. Because it just makes sense, really. Yeah. Because people are already whipping up sentiments in respect to the already salary structure
exactly
at the moment. Right.
Why we pray that Claire's wishes will be met, so that when I get to their place, instead of giving me beer, they will give me exotic wine. Why we pray for that? We must also remember the economic effect of a raise. You have to balance them.
Exactly.
You just have to.
Yes.
It's not going to be easy. That is why working out modalities will continue to be recurring decimal.
Chukudi, before we just go, this issue of a tragedy at the Calabar Carnival,
yes,
is another shocking development, because since the Calabar Carnival started almost getting to 20 years ago or 15 or thereabout, we've not had such an incident, in that very big, huge, cultural display by Nigerians from across the nation. I mean, it was.
I don't know the age of the person who crashed into these people, but one thing I've noticed is that behavior is becoming a runaway item within the Nigerian populace. We need to become sober the way we were sober before. Is it modernity that introduced it? Only God knows what.
Yeah.
We need to tame our behavior. And we were talking about a very bad accident close to the CBN. Was it not you?
Yes.
Or was it?
Yeah.
Things like that.
No, it was me. That's all about. I think on the 20.
Don't take anything to excess.
Yes.
Actually, at Christmas, I always stay indoors. That's what I do.
Okay. Thank you, Chukwudi, for being with us again today, as always. We're going to see you again tomorrow.
I smile from ear to ear anytime I find it in my presence.
All right. We are watching Good Morning Nigeria, Wednesday's edition, and of course, we are looking at a very, very important topic this morning, which has to do with the handling of firearms by uniformed personnel in Nigeria. Stay with us as we take a short break, and we'll be back very shortly.
They swore an oath to serve our fatherland and defend the people. They traded their freedom, comfortable homes, and mortgaged their lives on the battleground for our unity and peaceful living. These are the great, fearless, loyal, and committed Nigerian armed forces who risked their lives courageously to safeguard our borders. But in the line of duty, many never returned. Nigerians, arise, let's celebrate our fallen heroes. Put on the remembrance emblem with pride to support the incapacitated and families of our fallen heroes.
The occasion is cause for reflection and remind us the sacrifice made by our armed forces in preserving the unity of the country.
All ministries, parastatals, religious and corporate bodies should donate generously to the Emblem Appeal Launch. Send your donations to this account. Account name, Emblem Appeal Launch. Account number 393-200-7526. EcoBank Nigeria PLC.
What we face mostly now are flashes of cowardly attacks from the rump of groups that have been routed in one location or the other, moving to another to give the false impression that they are still strong. Our ultimate goal is to eliminate them altogether and restore total and lasting peace over every inch of the Nigerian soil. Sounding tall, we take it home. We are determined to ensure that every inch of the Nigerian soil is safe. That determination is there. The order has been given. But we shall continue to protect the lives and property of Nigerians and foreigners in our midst. We shall continue to work for the peace of the nation and deter elements that constitute threats to the people. We shall bear the full powers of the government to secure every inch of our land. We shall not rest until peace is fully restored to Nigeria.
This message is brought to you from the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
To every politician, as the campaigns gain momentum, passions begin to rise. Remember, The errors of your opponents do not make you a success. Do not run down your opponent and inflame passions to violence between and among your supporters. What counts is what you plan to do for the electorate and how you intend to relieve the sufferings and bring succor. Nigeria is in dire need of patriotic leaders at all levels, leaders who will make national development their priority. Concentrate on telling the electorate what you intend to do when you get into office. Focus on making your vision clear to the electorate. Don't engage in verbal abuses, fake news or speeches. Keep dealing with issues that will bring progress. You win the hearts and minds of the people by being above board, by being civil, patriotic, and showing empathy. Let's join hands to make the 2023 elections peaceful. A message from the National Orientation Agency.
Alright, we thank you for staying with us on Good Morning Nigeria. Now, the Nigeria Police Force is the principal law enforcement and lead security agency in the country. However, there is need to revisit implementation of reforms instituted by the Buhari administration on the subject of weapons handling. And before we begin our conversation with our guests, here is a background report put together by Oyemi Ajayi on promoting effective use of firearms by uniformed personnel in Nigeria.
The police is your friend, always boldly written and displayed at different police stations across the country. This phrase is meant to bring trust to the people with the intention of making them feel secured at the sight of the police or its paraphernalia. However, today, can it be said that this phrase is actually what it is, judging by the police-civilian relationship? Many issues have been raised about some police operatives whom, instead of being security to the common man, constitutes danger to them. Instances of police killing civilians are quite enormous to be ignored, with many fingers pointed at the disbanded State Anti-Robbery Squad (SARS), which have been blamed to be quite unprofessional in their duties, resulting to the end-SARS protest which caused the disbandment. Fresh in the memory is the death of an 18-year-old girl, Monsurat Ojuade, in September 2021, who was killed without committing any offense by a police officer who shot her through the gate in Lagos. A female lawyer in Lagos, Omobolanle Rahim, was killed by a trigger-happy superintendent of police on Christmas Day. President Muhammadu Buhari has condemned the killing, describing the act as heinous and senseless, and directed the police authorities to take the strongest possible action against the culprit already in detention. Amnesty International reveals that at least 115 people were killed by security forces in 4 months, which is between March and June 2021 in the southeast. Improper weapon management is said to be a major problem in the Nigerian police, as many cases of accidental discharge have been reported, especially amongst officers under the influence of alcohol. How can there be an effective firearms management in the country? What are the internal measures to be put in place for officers to maintain professionalism while carrying out their responsibilities? What can be done to erring officers? Guests already seated will be answering these questions and more shortly.
Many thanks to you, Oyemi Ajayi, for that background report. And indeed, there can be no better time to discuss the issues that you have raised than now. And the recent incidents involving loss of lives in the Ajiwe division in Abuja in Lagos, of course, raises fresh concern. We have in the studio to discuss our topic Dr. Sally Mamale is the Executive Vice Chairman, Kaduna State Peace Commission, and he joins us live here. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much, and good morning, Nigerians.
Also joining us for this conversation from our Kano studio is AIG Mohammed Hadi Zarewa, retired, former Force Secretary. We appreciate you. Thank you very much for joining us. Okay, we will, of course, introduce him formally as soon as we're able to, as soon as he joins us. But we also have Gad Peter, who is the Executive Director, Clean Foundation. He's joining us from our Jos studio. Mr. Peter, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And we have Austin Brimo. Austin Brimo is Commissioner representing the media and South at the Police Service Commission. He's joining us via Zoom from Auchi in Edo State. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning, Nigerians. Thank you very much.
And via Zoom as well is the Police Public Relations Officer, Lagos State Command, Benjamin Hundeyin. I hope I got that correctly. Thank you, Benjamin, for being with us this morning.
Thank you for having me on the show today. Good morning, Nigeria.
All right, let's begin with the PRO, the Police PRO, Lagos State Command, Benjamin Hundeyin. Thank you very much for joining us, and I really must appreciate you. It was only this morning we were able to make contact with you, and you obliged us your time. Thank you. What can you tell us so far about what happened, the incident that happened in Abuja Division in Abuja? Do we have an update?
For a fact, an ASP shot at a woman. She was taken to the hospital where she eventually died. There are speculations flying around. Many are saying it was an accidental discharge. Others are saying the officer was drunk. But we don't want to do speculation here. And that's why the case has been moved to the State Criminal Investigation Department for a proper investigation, and a swift one at that. So the other two officers that were with him were also at the state CID to make their statements and explain what really transpired. In a couple of days, probably today or tomorrow, we expect the reports to be out, and then we can say categorically what happened.
Benjamin, there's been a report that such incident happened in that particular area some weeks ago, and one begins to wonder what is wrong with the personnel posted in that particular Aja area, because if this is second time around within 3 weeks, then something is wrong somewhere. Are you also extending or expanding your investigation to the other personnel in that particular division to enable you understand the root cause of the matter? Why? I mean, people will not believe that it's one too many.
Yes, it's actually gave us some concern to know that this is the second incident in the space of 3 weeks. When the first incident happened, the Commissioner of Police in Lagos State, CP Abiodun Alabi, in his wisdom, changed the DPO. Believing that a change of the DPO would bring a sort of improvements in the division, but with the new DPO, less than 3 weeks old, this is happening again. So that has taken us back to the drawing board to see that this, to check and to maybe conclude that this is actually beyond the DPO. This is about the personnel. So we have already hashed a plan to see that this doesn't happen again. Also, we're already contemplating, and we'll most likely do that, do overhaul of the division. Probably take out all the men in that division, bring in new men there, and debrief the men, see what exactly the problem is, and whatever we learn from that would apply to other divisions within the state.
So, Paul Hundeyin, I listened to an earlier interview you granted, I think last night, and you did say that and you just explained it now, that two of the officers who were also on the patrol had been released or had been let go, without preempting the outcome of the investigation. What were are you able to extract, about the circumstances surrounding whether it was accidental, whether it was a direct shot at, and all that? Were you able to extract any tangible information from these two officers that you had, allowed to go home?
Well, what we could establish was that it wasn't a conspiracy. They weren't part of it. The gunshot came as a surprise to them too. So it wasn't a case of maybe somebody wanted to shoot and the others were urging him on to say, okay, shoot. So they were totally not part of it. And that's why they were let go. So, like I said earlier, we just need to exercise a little more patience and we'll get the facts of the case.
The officer who shot at the victim now, we understand, has spent 33 years in service, has just a few years to retire. Does he have a history of any of such, distraught incidents or, actions or such violent behavior?
He has a very good record. We've not found any record of misbehavior in the past, but we can't conclude yet. We are still going through his records and previous commands where he had served. But so far, it came as a shock to people because this is an easygoing officer.
As you rightly said, let's exercise some patience and, of course, allow your interrogation or investigation to come out for Nigerians to understand what really transpired when that lady was shot. As a matter of fact, he acted independently from what you have told us. All right, we will respond to you in the course of our program today. But now I want to go to Austin Bryan. Austin Bryan is Commissioner representing the media and South at the Police Service Commission. Austin, our major concern this morning on this show is the effective handling or adequate or proper handling of firearms by uniformed personnel. It's not just the police, but we are concentrating on the police because of the preponderance of these killings. Now, as a commissioner in the Police Service Commission, provide us with information regarding the kind of training given to the Nigerian police personnel. Does the training, encapsulate all aspects of weapon handling and other, behavioral, anyway, for those who are in the operations? Let us know the content of the kind of training given to Nigerian police personnel.
Good morning, Kilian. Chief Kilian. Good morning, and Claire. I can see that you joined. I can see you wearing red bead. That's on the lighter note. I don't envy you at all. Well, good morning. I've had a very, very bad Christmas with this incident, but I'm already used to it. I've been in this commission for the past 4 years. I'm used to this kind of development because that is what Nigerians want. We always wait for things to go wrong before we start to act. There would have been no need for this program today if we have chosen to do the right thing. I do not see why an incident like this would need to attract the PRO to speak on the investigation, to bring in a third IGP, DIG to speak on this kind of program. I think it is unnecessary. We have had this. You mentioned in the analysis, you mentioned about NSAS. What did we learn from NSAS? The last 3 weeks there was an incident. What did we learn from it? Is it to always allow Nigerians lose precious citizens? We lose fathers and mothers before we come on air and begin to investigate. Should the police investigate the police? We have a lot to think about. You see, it is laughable. It's laughable that today, as we are, we do not want to learn lessons from the past. The issue of NSAS was an indictment on Nigerians, on Nigerian government, because you cannot have police policing the police. You have a police service commission that is supposed to monitor police, a civilian oversight body. What best practices shows that you must have a proper civilian monitoring body. I like to compare, this is football season. Compare a very good football team. Look at the last World Cup final. Argentina and France at the point they got desperate, but you had a referee, an oversight man that ensured that the rules of the games were maintained. That is why we have a good match. No matter how professional Nigerian police force is today, give them the best training, give them the best weapons. If they don't have proper oversight, there will still be these pockets, this kind of problems. Maybe one of them, like you said, maybe got drunk or was something go wrong and all that. The psychology of crime, Kirian, is that I can commit anything and get away with it. If you are sure that you will be caught and penalized, no one go into crime. I can tell you today that there is no police service commission in the southwest. There is no police service commission in south-south. There is no police service commission in southeast. No police service commission in north central, northwest. It's only Abuja. And we have over 400,000 policemen. You are supposed to have an oversight body that should monitor them, check their conduct, motivate them, promote them, recruit them, and train them. But where are they? You have less than 400 staff to monitor 400,000 policemen. I mean, how can that happen? We don't have office in Lagos. When there is a crime like this, you need to rush, go to human rights to report. Go to this. Let me also give you an example. We have Deputy Commissioner who you know very well that is being investigated. His case is still in court. A Deputy Commissioner of Police in prison. He has not been tried by the Police Service Commission. So you all know that. So these are the things that we are doing wrong, and we continue to repeat them. And chance again will come next few months. Another policeman will do this. We come to the media to speak about it. Have we ensured that the civilian oversight body for the Nigerian police is funded, is decentralized, is properly functioning? I've told my colleagues, please go into the history of the Police Service Commission and the police. It was a constitutional debate in 1959 when they wanted to create a unitary police force for this country. And they said, well, the minority tribes were afraid that majority tribes are going to use the police against them. And so a commission recommended there should be a police service commission. This police service commission will ensure that every citizen, every tribe, whether minority or big, we have equal representation of the Nigerian police force. That is why we have commissioners representing every zone. Human rights are represented. Organized private sector, media, women, and so all the Nigerian police are represented, judiciary is represented to ensure that there is balance and fairness. Nigeria is treated well. But how has this body been treated? How have we kept to the constitution? We keep crying that even the functions of the constitution has been taken over by the LGP. The constitution is being violated every day. Nobody is interested, not even the media. So until when this kind of incidents, unfortunate incidents happen, then we come back to the drawing board to say, how can we prevent it? If we don't have people monitoring the police, checking them, where people can rush to report, how will this kind of thing not continue to repeat itself? I think we are getting it right. We are putting the cart before the horse each time. We still going to have this repeated again and again until we do the right thing. I think attention needs to be shifted to the Police Service Commission. NSAS was an indictment of the Police Service Commission, not IGP. This is an indictment of the Police Service Commission, not IGP. No matter what you do to the police, you don't have a good referee, you cannot have a good match.
Also, Brimo, let me pause you for a while because you have made very pertinent, points here. You said something that struck me. That the oversight function of a police service commission has been usurped, or that you don't have enough personnel, and that's why I'm talking about decentralization of police service commission. But I want you to just withdraw what you said about the media, because on this platform we have discussed issues concerning police endlessly. As a matter of fact, I can't count the number of editions of this program we have had in the past over the years on police service commission, on the conduct of the police, and other affairs concerning the police. So the media has played its own role, but now we are talking about the role of the commission, the role of the police force as a body, and what have you. Let me allow my colleague to put the question to another guest. We will return to you in the course of the program.
Austin Brimo, thank you very much. Commissioner representing the media and Southside at the Police Service Commission. Let me bring into our conversation Gab Peter, who is Executive Director, Clean Foundation. Of course, we still have the Executive Vice Chairman, Kaduna State Peace Commission, right here in the studio with us, so we'll just leverage the opportunity of clean the police is of course covered under our constitution, but they also have, the police is also supposed to provide guidelines on how the officers and other ranks are to use those firearms. We can't say that the police or the service commission or nothing has been done to ensure proper and effective use of firearms. But when this incident happened in Abuja, when the news broke, what was on your mind? What went through your mind? What were your thoughts?
Well, thank you. What went through my mind immediately was that another careless officer has done what he or she needed not to do. Very unprofessional, show lack of respect for human rights, show lack of understanding and respect for the uniform, the Nigeria Constitution and law. And you see, most often than not, we get very emotional about some of these issues because it has to do with life. You can never return life, no matter what we speak here, no matter the disciplinary action taken against that officer, no matter whatever we're going to do, it will change the fact that a mother is gone, a wife is gone, a daughter is gone, the NBA have lost one of their colleagues and all of these issues. And so for me, we need to keep looking at the way forward. The way forward is that we have a police act that stipulated clearly do's and don'ts for the police and the citizens. The curriculum and training of the police need to be enhanced. How do a policeman or policewoman make use of firearms? Who is supposed to hold a firearm? What kind of firearm is an officer supposed to hold within a given vicinity? And when we talk about that, then each time we talk about this issue of a recklessness of a police officer, what runs through my mind is that what are the SOP that we have in place in terms of use of firearms, release of firearms, stop and search and all of this. So we need to keep improving. I know a lot is going through, it's being done because I work within this sector. I know that in partnership with UNDP, with the Office of the Chief of Staff to the Presidency, we have the POTO, that's the Police Reform and Transformation Office. We know there is a roadmap on police reform. I know a lot is being done. I know there is ongoing training by several organizations, especially by CLEAN, to oversight agencies like the Police Service Commission, the National Human Rights Commission, Ministry of Justice. A lot is being done to ensure that we have an effective, professional, and a well-structured police. But again, the damages that have been done over the years and some of the negativity we're seeing now are not things that are going to be changed automatically or in a day. It's a lot easier to destroy and it's a lot difficult to rebuild, because rebuilding and transforming an agency or a structure like the police is going to take time. It's a gradual process. But I dare to say that I know effort is being made. The question is that, are we seeing the result? Yes, there are changes happening, but they are not there. So for every time a reckless police officer kills any Nigeria, it takes us a step backward, because from the NSAS process to now, we've made a lot of effort in terms of Nigerians are more assertive. Nigerians now know that, look, we can speak out and demand for justice from the police. I know that the police have the police response unit, the CRU. I know that this National Human Rights Commission have been up and doing, and the Police Service Commission. Everybody is demanding for justice for Nigerians. And so while we demand for that justice for Nigeria, we need to equally ensure that the right trainings are given to the policemen across board. What's the recruitment process? Do we have the right set of people being recruited into the police? Do we have people that, look, we're going to join the police because we want to offer services, or people join the police because they lack job? And you see, this issue of people getting drunk, either a police officer is drunk on duty, or a military officer, or a VIO, or a road safety, or DSS official, it's a reflection of our Nigerian society. Because as a citizen, when someone on duty is drunk, then we need to demand for an appropriate action. We need to be preventive in our demand, that such a man need to be disarmed, such a man need to remove from that duty post, and need to be replaced immediately. And therefore, if what we are hearing is true, that said officer was drunk, then what was the reaction of those other men and women that were working with him? And what was the response of other Nigerians that passed through that road that particular day before the incident happened, that probably noticed he was drunk? So we all have a collective responsibility, and I want us to underline that. We have a collective responsibility to ensure that we have an effective and efficient police in Nigeria, because it's for our own good and the benefit of the nation. And so when a policeman is given a firearm, the person that is going to give him that firearm, have you ensured that the officer is fit that day to hold that firearm? And who is in charge of the particular unit on patrol at that day to ensure that, look, everybody is sane enough? And so if your superior is drunk, who do you report to say, look, my Oga is drunk on duty? We need to take preventive measure. So until even the policemen and women themselves see their duty more as a sacrifice to the nation, that they have a responsibility to every Nigerian as in the real sense of the word, and you're not just doing it for the fun of it or for the lack of work or for any other thing, we'll continue to have this kind of situation. But my advice to the police, which I'm sure we've been talking and we're going to see a lot of changes, is that, look, every policeman should be made to read the Police Act. They should internalize it, digest it, and understand what the situation, what the law is saying. Every Nigerian, just like every Nigerian need to have the Nigerian Constitution, we equally, there are a lot of simplified version of the police, and go and read it so that you know exactly where your right starts and ends. And the police equally knows what he's expected to do while on duty and when he's going to go follow the law himself. And then, of course, the National Human Rights Commission and the Police Service Commission, there is no better oversight agency that need to ensure effective policing than these two agencies, because they've been recognized by law. And again, even as much as the police is making its own effort, we need to support the police to ensure that we have that professionalism we're all looking for. Because I tell you clearly that if you wake up today, you don't have the resemblance of police, state institution anywhere. The rate of crime, abuses, and all of these things we're fighting against will increase. And so the use of firearms is an issue that needs to be discussed. And I'm happy that we've seen effort made by the police. In the last couple of months, 6 months or thereabout, in the past when police officers commit offense, the orderly trial happened, nobody knows the result. But now you can hear the Lagos PPRO giving us update. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of updates. At the end of the day, whatever decision is taken, people are going to know. When we had a police officer talking about collecting bribe in the past and making it look as if it's business as usual, when the police took decisive action against him, it was on media, saying that, look, this does not reflect us and this is the action we're taking against such a person. So the more we see this public decision being displayed, that, look, this officer does not reflect our organization or what the Nigeria police stand for, the better for everyone. But I want to end by saying that, look, every agency that needs to function, whether be it police or any agency of government or even at the level of the civil society, there must be training and retraining. And the police need to train their personnel on the use of firearms. That training should happen at the divisional level, should happen at the zonal level. It's a training that needs to happen across all police training institutions to ensure that we have an effective policing that is being done. And the oversight agencies too need to find a way to ensure that these trainings are happening by demanding clearly for a work plan, an agenda for a month or a year, to say that, look, what exactly is your plans for training? And I'm sure that as Nigeria continues to speak out about this issue, the IG will be put under pressure to ensure that we do not have this kind of incident happening. I know it's going to be difficult to have absolute sanity in the system because of the way Nigeria society is, but we can minimize this one killing after the other by reckless policemen, or either because of bribe, or the bus driver refused to stop, or because of an argument with a passenger. We need to have control over our emotion. And this talks about the issue of emotional intelligence, what the psychological well-being of the police. And you see, when you put people on patrol or beats, you equally need to ensure that you're providing support for them to make them work in terms of their salary, in terms of motivation, that they have the right mindset being on those roads and performing those duties. And as citizens too, we need to appreciate the services they are offering. So for me, it's all about balancing from the policing, balancing from the citizen, support from the government, and support from every citizen to ensure that the police discharge their duty the way they need to do, and they are protecting the citizens of the country. But when you look at the incident that happened in Lagos, based on what we've heard, that there was no provocation. I mean, it gives you worry about the psychological well-being of that particular officer. This, again, and an issue we need to keep discussing until we're able to find some solution and a way forward on the issue. So the presidential reform and all of the reform that is taking place, I hope all of these issues will be addressed and the police will be more responsive, more accountable, and more transparent in their dealings with the citizens of this country.
Gad Peter, well spoken, properly articulated. There's one thing you mentioned: psychological well-being of the police. Very, very important. We shall dive into that in the course of the conversation. Now, talking about professionalism, which you also mentioned. You know, the Nigerian police has been known for, you know, creditable performance when they go out for UN peacekeeping operations across the globe. They have even received laurels over the years for being a good police outfit coming from Nigeria. But when it becomes the other way, maybe in Nigeria, the behavior, the practice, and all of that, you know, changes. One wonders why. And there's another point you made to say, what kind of weapon should a policeman carry at a particular vicinity? Do you require an AK-47 for a policeman who is standing on the road, perhaps doing stop and search, as the case may be? Are there other weapons that he could carry and what? These are very, very salient points you made. But let us bring in Dr. Saleh Momale. We've kept him for too long, but we're going to stay with you for a while. All right. So he's Executive Vice Chairman, Kaduna State Peace Commission. You know it all. You are in Kaduna, and Kaduna, of course, you know is epicenter when it comes to banditry and what have you. So you've listened to all the guests. Let's get your own view about the entire scenario.
Okay, thank you very much. It's one of the very sad moments, like the earlier speakers have said. So we extend our condolences to the Rahim family and many other families that have gone the wrong way throughout the year. Apart from this sort of events that happens by people who are financed by the state to protect lives and properties, there are a lot of criminal activities ongoing. There are intercommunal violences and many others that has led to the untimely death of thousands of Nigerians throughout the year. So we extend our condolences to all the citizens, and we do hope, you know, when you extend condolence, you only soothe the heart. Like the earlier speaker said, there is nothing you can do about the life, which is quite unfortunate. Coming back to the police, and we all know that globally, the police is one of the most important institutions of the state, which must be supported, which must be made to be highly functional, highly professional, for us to enjoy peace and security, because it's one of those institutions that is charged with the onerous task of enforcing every law that is passed by the country, that is practiced within a nation. And this principle of separation of powers gives the police the authority just to watch over the law and to apprehend anybody who contravenes that law, and their functions and role stops there. They have no right to judge or to say that that person is guilty of that offense or not. They are to collect exhibits, they are to make arrests, and then they are to investigate. That is where their functions begins and ends. They have no powers to go beyond this. They now pass it over to the judiciary, where people learned in the law will also review the evidences and everything that has been put forward in order to say whether that particular person is guilty of the offense or otherwise. Like you just mentioned, you said the Nigerian police, once you take them outside the shores of Nigeria, they are one of the most professional bodies in UN peace missions. And I wish to say that it is not only when they are in foreign missions. In the Kaduna State Peace Commission, for example, we work very closely with officers and men of the Nigerian police in dealing with many of the crises, some of the intercommunal violence that we do witness. And even in interventions, peace missions that we undertake, even when discussing with young people, when engaging citizens to understand the need for peaceful and harmonious coexistence, we have interfaced a lot with the Nigerian police. And within the men and rank, you see people with a lot of dignity, you see people with honor, you see people with intellect and knowledge, and you see a lot of commitment from several officers. By the way, there are still issues, institutional challenges. There are still, like you said, the issue of moral character, the issue of motivation, the issue of this common Nigerian sometimes attitude of negligence, of some critical issues that should not be neglected. It's when you are talking of arms, it's between life and death. It's just like a pilot flying a plane and trying to be a little bit careless about anything. Once you touch the trigger, there is no more control. Anything can happen. So the issue about the use of firearms, how the police and other security establishments manages, release, control, and management, and how they train and enforce regulations relating to the use of arms should not be something that these institutions should take for granted. That is one of the most important details that every institution, be it a police outpost, up to the highest command of every security agency, that should be one of the most seriously watched out component of that force. It is very important, and I think there has been a lot of neglect among officers and men with respect to the regulation on the release of arms, on the control of arms, and on the use of arms. And this is why whenever we have officers or men, because this is a very senior officer, an assistant superintendent of police, it's least expected from an officer of that cadre. And like you said, if he is over 30 years in the service, again, it makes the situation much more worrisome. Because this is a matured father, experienced gentleman who should never be expected to do this. And I think this is a clear warning that wherever you neglect those fundamental principles of duty and service, anything can happen. And I think it's a very important issue. Now, like you also made an issue, you see so many police. The role of police is not to exhibit, I think, globally, arms before the citizens, before the civilian populations. We know that in recent years, the proliferation of small arms and light weapons in the country has necessitated law enforcement officers to carry arms everywhere they are. But there are areas, like you said, there are places where the need to exhibit such arms does not arise. There are police patrol vehicles parked by the site. Keep all armed officers within the vehicles, and they can only be called upon when it is absolutely necessary. Those on the highways enforcing traffic regulations, those that are doing such operations should not carry arms before the eyes of the civilians. You can imagine how our young people today are traumatized, young children seeing guns, seeing arms. In fact, when it started in the 1990s, it was so traumatizing. For some of us to see somebody holding a gun, you just become scared. So we need to go back to those fundamental issues. How were we managing arms? What are those rules and regulations? How do we take arms out of civil spaces? I think this is very fundamental. We don't need arms in civil spaces. Secondly, I think our speaker from the Police Service Commission have said something very important. Wherever you over-concentrate power, power will be abused.
Okay, let me pause you for a while.
That is very important.
Yes, let me pause you for a while. You've raised some very fundamental issues, and I must appreciate your perspective. And again, I'd like to return to Lagos, where the Police Public Relations Officer, Lagos State Command, Benjamin Hundeyin, is joining us. I don't know. Sometimes we watch movies and we think that they're just movies, but the movies we watch are a reflection of the reality in some climes. And I get distraught when I watch movies where I see policemen, white policemen. I see them neatly dressed, with their rifle or pistols, tucked in and all that. And someone actually said to me, have you ever seen someone you would classify as a gentleman policeman on patrol? I don't know if Kieran, if you've seen any gentleman policeman. Sometimes the way they appear, the way they present to you, you begin to wonder the conduct of the men and officers that we deploy to patrol our routes.
Some use their guns, some use their gun like this.
Exactly. I'd like you to speak to that. And then secondly, at what point do these officers, or are these officers made to go through the guidelines that give them, that explain to them how they can exercise authority to use force or firearms? And we have quite a number of the guidelines. We have the Constitution, the Federal Constitution, we have international instruments, we have the United Nations instruments, we have the UN Code of Conduct. These are all guidelines to aid police officers on how to exercise the authority to use force or firearms.
Thank you very much. I'm talking about the deployment of officers for patrol and their appearance, like you put them. Well, I think it all depends on what you want to focus on. I think it's about we are subconsciously selective in what we see or what we want to see. There are so many patrol teams out there that look okay and do what they need to do. Yes, I must admit that we have a few patrol, okay, let me not say a few, people might crucify me for that. Let's say we have many patrol teams out there that don't appear well according to the way you put it, and maybe they are not properly positioned. Yeah, this is why we have complaint channels. This is why we expect people to bring to our notice when they see such, and that happens in Lagos. We work with the citizens and residents of Lagos. So we often receive calls to say, oh, at social bus stop, the policemen there are not doing what they're supposed to do. They are so uncouth, they are so unruly. And we call the DPO covering that place to quickly go there to attend to them. Sorry, can I get your second question?
Yes, at what point, do your officers or even the recruits, at what point are they made to, go through the guidelines? Do they even know what is contained in the guidelines that explain to them how they can exercise the authority to use force or firearms at different circumstances?
Like you said, there are many instruments guiding the use of fire. For us in the force, we have what we call the force order on the use of fire. Popular is known as force order 237 on the use of fire. It tells you when to use fire and how to use your fire. So every police officer understands this. Even the recruits at the police college understand this. When you go for refresher courses, when you go for training, you are made to understand this over and over again. And I must say that there are thousands of police officers out there who use their firearms properly, who imbibe all the principles of musketry. And what we do is that for the few officers who have decided to go against the principles of musketry, who have decided to go castle track, on an individual basis, we make them face the music. So to answer your question simply, we all know the proper way to use our firearms. We go for interviews, we go for exams. This is an important thing. So it appears over and over again. So these are things we know offhand. These are things we can recite to you. So for any officer that misuses firearm, it's not as a result of not knowing how to use firearm, but just as a result of probably negligence, carelessness, or just being unruly, and they're made to face the music.
From what we just heard, we learned that the officer involved had earlier cocked his gun to scare some persons around before the woman arrived there. But then he did not remember to return the gun to safety before the incident happened. But I'm also wondering, did she point the gun at her, believing that it's safe or something? What warranted, the gun to point at the lady in the first place? That's just one. Secondly, I do highways a lot. I meet a lot of policemen on the highway. In some cases, you will see one here. In the next 2 or 3 posts, you see another group, and all of that. Then they behave differently. In some cases, you see some of them will jump down from their vehicles as if they're armed robbers. Instead, you'll be scared in the first place because some of them are not properly dressed. They wear some t-shirts and all of that. They don't jump down, do their gun like this, and you will be scared to say, is there anything going on here? Before you know it, you just people who are on their duty, and they will stop you, so okay, clear, and all of that. But the way, the attitude, the way they do that is scary. It's scary. So lead us into that. I mean, what you've had so far with respect to what I've just told you that happened at Abuja, where the incident happened. How the guy could not return his gun to safety before the incident.
Okay. So he caught the gun earlier. He could not return it to safety. That's another version of what happened. That's not the official version. Some people have said that he was drunk, he was totally drunk, and that was why he fired. So there are different versions, and that was why I said at the beginning of this program that we need to wait for the outcome of the investigation so that we know the true story of what happened.
Go back to Austin Brimo, Commissioner representing the media and the South at the Police Service Commission. You raised a very, very pertinent point, when you were making your opening comment, and you touched on a number of things concerning the relationship between Police Service Commission and the police itself, your oversight function, which might have been usurped or which is not, which is dysfunctional at the moment, and what have you. Now, as somebody who has garnered experience over the years in the Police Service Commission, let us know what you think should be the relationship between your commission and the police itself, because of course at some point you were in court at some point, and people like me was thinking, how can Police Service Commission and the police be in court and what have you? What is wrong with the act establishing the commission? Don't people understand the act properly? Don't we know how to about power devolution in certain structures? So lead us into what is the present situation and how do we get out of it? Especially I have concern about the psychological well-being of the Nigerian policeman.
Thank you. If I were to address the issue you raised, I will need an hour to speak on it, but unfortunately we don't have the time. I will summarize. You see, I don't pray that in the next few weeks and the next few months I'll be called upon again to speak on a similar issue. I appreciate my colleague from JOS. He spoke about training, good training for policemen in weapon handling, in human rights, this and that. I appreciate all that. It's good. He knows very well how many trainings they have organized for the Nigerian police. When they invited the commission as witnesses. So many international bodies have been doing this effectively. We have witnessed them. Like I said, that is not the problem. Saying that the police need to be trained in the Police Act is not the problem. Except you want to think that that knowing the law will make you not break the law. And I don't think that is the truth. I don't think training is the problem of Nigerian police force. I will tell you that this singular incident has dented the goodwill and the good performance of thousands and thousands of Nigerian policemen who are awake this morning, who did not sleep since yesterday to ensure that we wake up peacefully this morning. A lot of our brothers and sisters are dying in theaters for operations. If you go to Yobe, if you go to Maiduguri, go to Niger State, go to South Kaduna, go to Imo State, we have policemen being killed every day. Most of them are staying awake for us to be able to sleep. Even this Lagos is one of the crime-free states. We rate them because of good policing. It is men that are staying awake that are doing the right thing. But unfortunately, you are still going to continue to see pockets of deviance, borderline cases of these that will will dent the good work of the Nigerian police force. Like I said, with 1 million policemen to police 200 million Nigerians is inadequate. Today we have just less than 400, out of which more than half of that are attached to VIPs. So we don't even have the men. So training is not the issue. Like I said at the initial, we need oversight function for the Nigerian police. Like I said, there's no deterrence. You cannot tell me that footballers don't know the rules when they break each other's legs. If you have a weak referee, they're going to have a rough match, you will have stalemate. That is what we are having. So until we decide to pay attention to the oversight body of Nigerian police, how do you, for instance, the PRO said they are investigating this incident. If the police investigate the police service commission has an investigation department. If you invite that ASP that committed this crime to the police service commission, the IGP will tell you not to go unless you pass through him. If you don't write to IGP, it will take a month for that officer to get that color. All these are things that institutional frictions that should not even be, because this is a body that was set up by the Constitution, and yet we are infringing on constitutional rights of a body, oversight body, and the law is looking the other way. I was almost sacrificed for speaking out on this. I will not be afraid to say the truth. So I think that I have told my colleagues, let them find out how much do you budget for the Nigerian police, and we wanted to do miracles. We are saying accidental discharge, wrong handling of weapons. Should we give them toy guns to combat crimes inside cities or outside the cities? No. It's no. One, they are poorly motivated. I just want to be desultory because there's no time. Now let somebody find out how much a CP of a state receives from the headquarters of the police in a month. How much does another commander receives from federal location? How much does a DPO in a division receives? And yet they have to form patrol cars. They have to service patrol cars. They must go to monitor in dangerous areas. They are not giving money. And yet we accuse them of extortion and we demonize them. Let's all kind of investigation. We have the bodies to go out and investigate. How much is released to the Nigerian police? Look at the Nigerian army. I don't want to afford to draw comparison. Look at the budget of the Nigerian army compared to the Nigerian police force that's 2 times their population. That's expected to be found in every village, in every nook and cranny to combat crime. These young men are frustrated, and we know that. What have we said? What have we done to motivate the Nigerian police force? To motivate this boy that we send out to sleep in the street, to sleep in the bush, to monitor crime? What have we done to them? Whenever these things happen, we lose precious lives, we lose precious relations. We cry. We begin to cry. We begin to look for solution after the damage has been done. But what we do after this to ensure that this is not done? Please. And all Nigerians to look back at the oversight function provided for in the Constitution to monitor. Police should not be the one investigating the police. I will tell you why. Even if I'm not supposed to, I'll tell you now, I'm the head of investigation department. If you send this matter to court, police will not go there to defend. We have received so many complaints. Police, after dismissal, they go to court. They will not go and give them the evidence. We have to force them to be reinstated. These are clear cases. If you empower the commission to do its constitutional duty, these things will not begin to reoccur. I'm not indicting the headship of the police because we are the employers of police. Everybody needs to know that. The commission has the constitutional role to play in ensuring that the police is effective and that it is the best police in the world. I can assure you that Nigerian police force is one of the best in the world. But under which condition, or what condition are they working? These are things that we need to pay attention. The doctor in the studio wanted to make very important points on this, but I think time will not allow him to make that comment about constitutional breaches and lack of accountability in the force.
Austin, thank you. Austin, thank you. Thank you. We want to take a short break now. When we come back, we will look at some other powers that the police, have, such as discretionary powers. The use of force or firearm is supposed to be the last option, but sometimes we find that some officers, deploy it in the guise of exercising their discretionary powers of protecting their lives or to save themselves from threat. So when we come back from this short break, we'll be looking at whether or not the police should have discretionary powers.
As the 2023 elections draw near, remember, Evil prospers when good men and women only wish for peace, but never take a step to make peaceful elections happen. Are you a father? Are you a mother? What are you saying to your children as elections approach? Have you warned them not to let themselves be used to cause violence? Have you explained to them what the consequences of electoral violence might be? Do your part to make peaceful elections happen. Talk to your children. Protect them from unscrupulous politicians who want to put them in harm's way, while their own children are comfortable at home, within and outside the country. Let's join hands to make 2023 elections peaceful. This message is from the National Orientation Agency. No.
Every day in our country, senior citizens are discriminated against, disparaged, and treated with disdain by those who ought to respect them. We are all complicit in the way we have treated the elderly members of our society as institutions, families, or members of a shared society. Every time senior citizens get offered less than they deserve for the work they do because they are old, poor, and desperate, we are failing them. Senior citizen loses a child, and wow, they must be responsible for their death. Every time a senior citizen gets labeled a witch, is called mad, and shooed out of the way because they have no memory of where they were headed and look unkempt, we are failing them. We say, abeg, you don old, make it do die, make everybody for rest, to ailing parents, uncles and aunts. That's discrimination. That is neglect. When you see an old woman getting beat up and being accused of witchcraft, do not turn the other way. Stop and teach people that white hairs, wrinkles and hunchbacks are no evidence of witchcraft. Aging comes with a memory decline. Sometimes it's not out of place to have elderly people lose their way, forget details of their lives, and how to properly take care of themselves. When they get to this stage, they deserve your empathy, not scorn. Our ailing fathers, mothers, aunties and uncles are deserving of quality healthcare and peaceful transition. Make their last moments memorable. Senior citizens have paid their dues. They deserve your care. Stop all forms of discrimination against them today.
The security situation in Nigeria has been reasonably stable in spite of activities of unpatriotic elements engaged in various criminal activities around the country. Daily situation reports coming in from states 2 months ago, it has shown relative peace on many of our highways, such as Abuja, Kaduna, Birnin Gwari, Sokoto, Zamfara, Kaduna.
This message is brought to you from the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
A new edition of TV Guide is out, featuring an impeccable personality with purposeful leadership, Alhaji Mohammed Mitakobi, the Executive National President of Road Transport Employers Association of Nigeria.
In 774 local governments will be able to put all our structures in everything. I'll be able to bring the regions members together, reconcile them to come and work the progress of the association.
Welcome to a world of fun and excitement as we also present an assemblage of professionals in the media space, some compelling NTA programs, current trends in the fashion world, ICT, sports, entertainment, and lots more. Get a copy at the vendor near you or any NTA station nationwide. TV Guide, your indispensable companion.
All right, welcome back to the program. It's Good Morning Nigeria, live on the network service of the NTA. And Dr. Saleh Momale will be taking my question. Dr. Momale, I was wondering if the discretionary powers that the police, have, if it's been misused. I don't know. How best do you think that this issue of, extrajudicial killing can be addressed once and for all?
I think extrajudicial killing in all crimes, under all circumstances, under all situations, is a breach of the Constitution. It's a breach of the right of every human being, his right to life, and it should not be taken under any circumstances. Because in extrajudicial killing, you are meaning that somebody is deliberately taking the life of somebody due to certain circumstances or conditions, because that's what differentiates it. For example, like what we talk about, exchange of fire. Yes, when you are fighting a criminal, for example, the security agencies are approaching a crime scene, and those people acting are firing or are trying to kill those security officials. They have the right to respond. They have the right to fire back. When death occurs in such circumstances, it is not regarded as extrajudicial killing. Extrajudicial killing is where you killed deliberately because of one reason or the other, and it should never happen. And again, that goes back to where are the mechanisms for monitoring this and for enforcing the laws of the land for the law enforcers themselves. I think this is very, very important. If we look at the National Judicial Council, because there are two very powerful institutions in law enforcement. One are the police and the other security establishment. Second are the judiciary. These are the two major institutions of law enforcement. The security agencies enforce the law, they arrest, they investigate, and they prosecute. The judiciary receives all cases that are brought before it, look at the evidences and determine whether that person is guilty or otherwise. So these two important institutions must have very strong oversight functions. We have seen the National Judicial Council doing a more excellent job in terms of promotion, in terms of employment, in terms of setting standards for the judiciary, and working in tandem with the other professional bodies like the Nigerian Bar Association and many other institutions around it. I think we have not seen that very strongly within the police force. For example, we have always spoken in many other forums why this high level of proliferation of sub-units of law enforcement within the police. You see one squad, the highway patrol, you see the divisional police officers mounting roadblocks, the highway patrol mounting roadblocks. Still people still talk of SARS existing because you still see some officers like you earlier mentioned with some uniforms you can't even describe on the highways investigating. You talk of the IRT moving all over the country arresting people. You know, so why this numerous proliferation of subunits within the same institution? We have always asked, how expensive, how difficult, how impossible is it that we cannot have a police intelligence unit within that have the capacity to do, for example, what the IRT is doing here in Abuja, in every divisional police office or in every area command throughout the country? Why can't we be able to provide all these gadgets, this capacity, this level of training and capacity for every area command to handle all these cases of kidnapping, all these cases of high-profile crimes within their areas of jurisdiction? Why can't we decentralize this? Yes, it's good to have the coordinating unit, maybe in the office of the Inspector General of Police and in the police commands, but a population of 200 million people, and then you say you are setting up a unit at the national level, and you say that you are empowering this unit to make a surveillance of the entire country. It's not possible. So you are creating superpowers, superstructures, which are subject to abuse, and which could lead to some of these things we are seeing. So what do we think is the way out? Is strengthened the divisional police offices, strengthen the area commands, make them the units of operations of the Nigerian police. The higher level offices should be coordinating, providing support, providing resources, and providing higher level For example, professionalism, like the state criminal investigation departments within the commands. We need to devolve this down to the local governments, where the area where the divisional police officers should have the capacity and the personnel that will do exactly those things, considering the extent of the nation, considering the current level of security challenges. So what we are saying, I agree that the Police Service Commission must be strengthened. This proliferation of subunits of the Nigerian security must be dealt with. And I think getting the right officers within defined territorial units, like the local government divisional police officers, are those that should be held accountable for every conduct within their domains. And for any other subunit at a higher level must come to support these units to perform their functions, rather than coming from either the state or the national level to usurp those duties, and then all the resources are concentrated up there, and a vast majority of the other police personnel are onlookers. I think this does not
even if we do have that, will that still address situations such as the two incidents that happened in Abuja? Because we will still have need of policemen patrolling the highways, the streets, and when there is that kind of friction between a police officer and a civilian, how do you stop such accidental discharge?
I think fundamentally we have to go back to the use of firearms, in fact the release of firearms. Like I said, in a broad daylight on the streets of Lagos, why should there be armed police standing on the highway? I think we need to move them back to the vehicles. We have to have those communication gadgets. We have to have those communication mechanisms whereby the officers that are here should be able to communicate to officers that are armed who are nearby in case of distress and where the need of arms arises. But where you equip every policeman on the streets of Abuja, you see them here on the roads by 7 p.m., 8 p.m. with guns on the streets, stopping cars. Why? Why do we need arms in these situations? If there is need, there is the patrol vehicle. Keep all the arms away from the civilians. Let the police be civil in what they are doing, and let us see this civility everywhere police are deployed.
Indeed, Dr. Momale. In fact, you've just spoken my mind, and perhaps the minds of many Nigerians. This structural arrangement of the police units and the proliferation of sub-units that you mentioned. I want to bring in Gad Peter here once more, because I can understand that you have a good, a catch of what policing is all about from your first explanations. Now, I wanted to speak to these three issues here. One is the institutional frictions that is being experienced between the Nigerian police and, of course, the Police Service Commission. Two is the decentralization of Police Service Commission, which Austin Brimo earlier highlighted. And another is the proliferation of subunits within the Nigerian police, which, of course, Dr. Momale has explained.
Yeah, basically, let me quickly say something that for every one bad policeman, there are 10 exceptional police officers that we need to celebrate. And I think we need to put this in the parking lot so that we don't overbash the police and make it look as if every police officer is irresponsible. Secondly, let me speak to Chief Austin, that training, learning and relearning is part of our everyday existence. At any point we stop learning, we start decaying. When you look at the sociology of crime and criminality, the changing patterns of crime in urban city and rural areas means that you need to train our police officers on preventing crime and what they need to do to respond. And so a policeman that is recruited in the 80s cannot be addressing the issue of crime in this current in 2002. And therefore, training can never be overemphasized. What I usually tell people is better to overplan than to underplan, because when you train people, they become more effective. That training keep echoing in their head that, look, these are the new approaches to issues. Now, a lot of people are using technology to commit crime. And if our policemen are not trained on the use of technology to prevent crime, then what are we saying? And so for me, I just want to make this point that we can never overemphasize the place of training in any institution of human endeavor. Having said that, the issue of Police Service Commission and the police, I think is quite embarrassing for me when this issue keep coming up on debate, on TV, on radio, or even in our public space. I think Mr. President needs to address this issue in such a manner that these two institutions are able to provide services to the betterment of Nigeria. What we are demanding for is to make Nigeria a functioning state, is to make policing more effective, is to make police a system that works for everyone. And so when you look at the Police Service Commission, they have a responsibility to discuss issue of discipline from a DIG downward, if I'm not missing my record. The only person they do not have so much influence on is the IG himself. And I think that a simple understanding around how this is working will help us to appreciate the support each of them bring to effectiveness of policing. There's no competition there. There's no contest there. And I totally agree that like we have the National Human Rights Commission, every state of the Federation, we need to have the Police Service Commission, the Public Complaint Commission, the Legal Aid Council, and all of these other bodies that will provide support when there are violations of law or acts of impunity by men in uniform, particularly the police. But I must quickly add again that the police service is a reflection of the Nigerian society. And so if the Nigerian society itself does not purge itself of those issues that are not proper, then we'll continue to have this kind of issue. And while I'm addressing this issue, I want to pump in a number of other issues. That when you see a fully dressed police officer in a beer parlor, you should not only be worried for yourself, but you should be worried for your schoolmates, your family members, and colleagues somewhere else, because if that policeman get drunk, he may carry out an action not against you, but indirectly against someone that may be close to you. And therefore, the police, you need to call the next police division to say, look, one of your men is about to misbehave. You need to take appropriate action to prevent that from happening. Why do policemen need to be on Okada and in public transport with firearms? I mean, these are issues we need to address as a nation. Does that look professional? I've had the privilege of traveling to several countries around the world, and each time I get to an airport with a country, I'm interested in their uniform personnel. It's only in Nigeria and a few African countries that you see policemen carrying AK-47 where there are no emergencies. But now, if we say that policemen we should arm our policemen with pistol, it becomes a budgetary issue, money issue. But here we have so much resources in this country that we are misappropriating. And therefore, to decentralize the police means that you need more funding. Because at the moment, they operate from the national and come into the state where there are needs. But the more you want to expand, the more the issue of money comes into play. The National Assembly will say there is no money, or they cannot allocate resources. I mean, so the challenges are societal issue. It's a Nigeria problem that needs to be addressed. We need to address it at the highest level. We need to address it at the lowest level. Now, if you go around the local governments in Nigeria, apart from the local government headquarters where we have the divisional police office, do we have outposts in virtually all of our villages? Are there no crime being committed there? Don't people need security at that level? And so the issue is that we have a big country. We have a nation where we are not practicing what we need to practice, and we're shying away from our responsibility. I have a duty as a citizen to ensure that policing of my community is my responsibility, and support the conventional police to do their work. While other
I'm sorry, I have to come in here. We are really our time is far spent. Let me quickly bring in a first public relations officer, Benjamin Hundeyin. Super Munde, I want to take back my words, my earlier words. I think I've seen gentlemen policemen, of course, all the first public relations officers that I've known, including yourself, gentle, people-friendly policemen, and I'm wondering why those on patrol can't have this kind of character. I remember sometime a former IGP, I think it was Solomon Arase, came up with the snap urine test, to determine the emotional and psychological state of, officers and men. I'm wondering, is that still being done?
Okay, well, thank you very much. I'll deviate a bit, permitting me to quickly touch on an issue in less than a moment or 30 seconds. Okay, so the way discipline works for ASPs and above, their disciplinary matter must be transferred to the Commission from the State Command and forward same to the Police Service Commission. And Service Commission has the final say to either jettison our recommendation, put a new recommendation, or uphold our own recommendation. Okay, maybe give a new punishment or uphold. So in this case, if we are recommending dismissal, then the Service Commission will uphold dismissal. After the dismissal has been finalized, then we will prosecute the officer. So make no mistake about it, the Service Commission has the final say in the discipline of ASPs and above. And yet to see a situation where the IGP would refuse to forward someone's disciplinary file to the Service Commission. And the issue of reinstatement, the police does not reinstate, especially ASPs and above. Where you see an ASP that has been dismissed being reinstated, then you need to talk to the Police Service Commission. They are responsible for reinstatement. Now, coming to your question about maybe psychological tests, medical tests, yes, we have the first medical department in the force, headed by first medical officer, and where we see that concerns are raised about a police officer, we quickly bring it to the attention of the first medical officer, and the appropriate tests are carried out. Yeah, I know you're talking about being a routine thing, routine exercise. Yes, we are working towards that. It's all about resources, so that we can make it more routine. But for now, where concerns are raised, we have the first medical unit that will get into it.
All right, we would like to thank you indeed, and you've also made some valid points as well as other guests. But what we're saying is that your men should conduct themselves properly while on duty, especially when they are carrying guns. That thing is not something is lethal, and you know what that means. We appreciate you for being a part of our program this morning. Public Relations Officer, Lagos State Command, Benjamin Hundeyin. Thank you once again. Austin Brimel, Commissioner representing the media and South at Police Service Commission. We also like to thank you this morning for being here. Now, we also have in the studio Dr. Saleh Momale, Executive Vice Chairman, Kaduna State Peace Commission. We thank you.
Thank you
for your time and your thought. Well, from Jos, we have Gad Peter, Executive Director, Clean Foundation. All right, now let's take some spots.
Marcus Rashford was at his best mental